Mackenzie.
And I'm Avery Stain.
And we're the Zero Waste School Supply Group.
Some members of the audience have probably never heard of zero waste school supplies before, but they could very well be the solution and head start that we need to start combating the major plastic problem in our world. Ever since 1950, when plastic started being mass-produced, it can be seen everywhere, in every way, shape, and form, even in things as simple as our school supplies. 35 to 40% of our landfills are filled with trash from institutes of education, like businesses and schools. If we were able to reduce the trash made from these places, we'd be able to greatly reduce the total amount of trash in our landfills. Who here has ever bought a binder from Office Depot or Staples just because you needed it for a certain class or you just liked it? Well, chances are that binder was completely non-renewable and would take 450 to 10,000 years to decompose. Even then, we're not sure where the plastic could end up. It could end up in our landfills or in our environment, possibly hurting ecosystems and harming wildlife.
As Ria mentioned, plastic is virtually everywhere currently. It can be from in your takeout food to in packaging for medicine, electronics, or children's toys. But what we're talking today is how it's in school supplies. It can be in binders, folders, pens, and even pencils, even though you may not notice it.
For my research project, I researched the national sword policy. China put a ban on the U.S. importing plastic to China. What we would do is we would take all of our recycled plastic, send it to China, and China would buy it from us. However, that was only because we were too lazy to handle it ourselves.
For my research project, I analyzed the waste and cost comparisons between eco-friendly and regular plastic school supplies. After researching, one thing stood out to me the most. The amount of waste we currently create is not good, nor will it be sustainable for much longer. We need major change, and this change could come partly, at least, from zero-waste school supplies. Zero-waste school supplies are also cheaper in the long run because they're made to last for years, whereas the cheap plastic ones you may find at Staples might not even get you through the semester.
For my research topic, I researched the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, where it is, how big it is, what it's mostly made of, and the overall environmental effects.
I researched how plastic affects life, not just marine animals, which the microbeads group already covered, but also how it affects other animals such as coyotes, bears, and even humans.
My research topic was more on the marketing side of things and how we can actually get people to buy these not always conventional and more expensive products.
And my research topic was on some of the alternatives to plastic that we could use in our day-to-day lives, such as biodegradable plastic, metal, glass, and paper products.
In the beginning of our project, we had a lot of stretch goals and regular goals, and one of our stretch goals was a vending machine. We thought it'd be really cool to have a vending machine in Terra Linda's halls filled with zero-waste school supplies, so if someone didn't have a pencil or eraser, they could pay 25 or 50 cents to get one of those. But more realistically, we wanted to present as many schools and elementary schools as we could, whether it be in the Dixie School District or Sun Valley. And we also wanted to talk with administration, because that's where we can get a lot of our influence, and they have a lot of influence over all the people. In addition, we also wanted to have more of an impact on the trash already in our environment. That's why we wanted to have a beach cleanup at the beach, which we weren't able to do, but we had it at Miller Creek. But in order to do all this, we needed to have funds, or money. So we had a bake sale at Scotty's Market, which we were able to raise a lot of money to help us do this. And lastly, we wanted to change Dixie School's lists and MarinSEL's lists, because in Dixie School, the teachers send out lists for the students for the whole year, and we wanted that to get completely zero waste.
In order to achieve these goals, there are many tasks and steps that we had to take. One of the main ones that really started off our entire project was emailing with people of all positions and power. Some of the main and biggest people that we emailed with was Ms. Christina Lundy, who is the Assistant Project Manager at the Marin County Office of Education. We got to email with the founder and co-founder of Wisdom, Heather and Nicole, and constant communication with SCI and people within it, such as Naomi and Cyan. And through these emails, we were able to set up presentations, meetings, and events where we'd be able to further expand our outreach and education on our topic.
Throughout the course of this project, our team implemented many strategies in order to succeed. The first was directing our promoting towards the corresponding needs and wants of our customers. So how many people have sales experience or have ever promoted a product before? Okay, so do you use the same pitch for every person, no matter how different they are? No, of course not, because everyone is different and is looking for different things out of a product. So although the eco-friendly aspect was extremely huge, it wasn't always enough to persuade people that this was truly the best choice. Teachers also cared about convenience and cost, so we made sure to highlight that in the presentation as well. The second was making every presentation count, because we never knew who in our audience would be inspired by what we were saying and would take that into their school. Thirdly, we focus on elementary school teachers because their students are young and impressionable, so we can educate them now. They'll be more likely to use these school supplies throughout the rest of their lives.
We had many public components throughout our project. First of all, we had a bake sale. Second of all, we presented at the juniors mixer to many MarinSEL families and teachers about wisdom and how they can access it in order to buy zero waste school supplies for their incoming years. We also sent emails to the freshmen, sophomore, junior, and seniors for next year, also giving them the links. We also held a creek cleanup at Miller Creek, where we had 8th graders and students from TL all come together to clean up trash all around the area. Overall, we educated many people, and luckily we were able to meet with the administration and campaigned a lot for wisdom.
There were several steps that we took to achieve our goals. The first one being reaching out to as many schools as possible. We did this by going to the MCOE, the Marin County Office of Education, which sort of umbrellas over all of the other schools in the county, which gives us more access. Secondly, we made direct contact with a lot of the teachers. For example, Sun Valley, we went and talked to them directly instead of going through the Marin County Office of Education, so that we could make more of an impact. Lastly, we used flyers to promote wisdom and just the idea of zero waste school supplies. They're just easy little tidbits of information that people can take home and maybe look up wisdom online.
Throughout the semester, there were many events that we hosted or presented at to further expand the education to the people about our project. On March 10th, we held a bake sale where we raised around $300. This was really important at the time because we weren't sure what direction our project was going to head in, and we wanted to make sure that we had all the resources that we needed to make sure that we could do anything that we wanted to. On April 19th, we met with Christina Lundy to sort of get an idea about when we can make some presentations to some of our teachers and how much she could help us with our project. On April 28th, we hosted the Miller Creek cleanup with the microbeads group, where we had the chance to give middle schoolers a opportunity to take environmental action in a local place. On May 2nd, we met with the environmental teachers through the help of Ms. Christina Lundy. And on May 15th, we presented to around 25 teachers and administration at Sun Valley. Finally, on May 23rd, we sent out our letters to all the MarinSEL families to further our outreach and education about zero waste school supplies.
At the beginning of our project, we set main goals and stretch goals, which you heard earlier. So did we achieve these goals? We are proud to say that yes, we did achieve most of these goals. For educating teachers inside and outside the district, we definitely achieved when we went to the San Rafael City Schools Board of Education meeting, and then we also presented at Sun Valley. We inspired middle schoolers both directly and indirectly by talking to their teachers, who then in turn talked to them. And then also they came to our creek cleanup, and we showed through our actions how important it is to keep a clean community. We sent our supply list to all MarinSEL classes for a total of 123 students. The beach cleanup, although we were never able to make it out to the beach, we were able to go to the creek instead, which is local, and all of that waste would be going into the oceans anyway, so in a way it was better. Lastly, we weren't able to finalize a change in the Dixie School supply list, mostly because of an issue of not enough time. Is our project finished? The issue of waste in schools is so big that we couldn't possibly conquer it in just a few months, but we did enough things to make a good difference.
So, for measurable results, there are some very exciting things that happened. One of them being we educated 303 people, which is amazing. It's a lot more than we thought we were going to educate. So that was really nice. Of those 303, 148 were teachers, and 155 were students or adults. Another cool statistic we found is that if a student were to just buy school supplies from Wisdom, they would reduce 6.8 pounds of waste from going into the oceans or into landfills. Underneath that, you see 48.8. So that is if an entire school were to go zero waste, and a student, like passing out papers and school lunches and things like that, waste from that, a single student could reduce 48.8 pounds. Also, if all of these students and teachers that we educated went zero waste and bought things from Wisdom or other zero waste school suppliers, then we would reduce 25,160 pounds of waste, which is really awesome, and it would be a huge impact for Wisdom in the Zero Waste School Supply campaign. Lastly, at our beach/creek cleanup, we collected 10 garbage bags full of trash and diverted it from going into the ocean.
Although our project went well and we had a lot of measurable results, we did have some challenges along the way. The biggest challenge that we faced was with our beach cleanup. We'd planned to do it at China Camp, and a lot of our project was centered around this. We'd already put out flyers and talked to many teachers about it. When only a few days before it was scheduled to happen, we found out that China Camp would actually be closed on that day, so we had to change the location and just hope that people would still show up. Our second challenge was absences, especially during project week. However, we had to keep working and overcome this. Lastly, our last challenge was that that many schools in the Dixie School District did not respond to us fast enough. We emailed all of them, and only a couple responded to us in the time frame that would work for us.
Even though we had many challenges, we had some really important solutions that helped us overcome them. For example, for the beach cleanup, it was really easy for us to just switch straight to the creek cleanup since it was more local and easier to commute to. With absences, we had to split up the work evenly among all of our other peers, and even though it could have been a lot to pile on, we all had to put in that extra effort and make it accomplishable. Overall, we needed to understand that we needed to find other alternatives and realize that not everything that we wanted was going to go as planned.
As Chippy said, we want to continue to make a difference throughout the ongoing years throughout MarinSEL, and we want to continue to promote wisdom, especially through the teachers. And we want to continue to promote Kids for Next Year. We want to continue to push Kids for the incoming freshmen and all the other MarinSEL classes. And lastly, we want to count the number of students that buy kits in the future so we can actually measure how big of a difference we had on incoming years.
All of us have grown a lot throughout this semester. For example, I've grown in public speaking. At the beginning of the semester, it was really hard for me to talk in front of a large audience, and I would start to shut down and get really nervous. However, I've learned to be more confident and just learn to express my ideas because it's for the best.
This semester I grew in persuasion because at the start of the semester I would just give up if someone didn't seem interested in what I was trying to tell them about. But after seeing my fellow peers talk to people, I realized how important it is to stick with it, and how you deliver it really makes a difference because it could obviously it could change their mindset very easily.
Over the course of this project, I really grew in innovation because as people know through lead projects, you're handed assignments that are very open-ended, that you get to choose what you want to do with it. And I wasn't really used to that yet because I really like structure in my assignments. But over the course of this semester, it really kind of opened my eyes and helped me come up with my own ideas.
I feel like I grew most in perseverance because throughout the semester I've had my own personal challenges that I've had to overcome for the good of the project.
I believe I've grown in joint effort over the course of this semester because at the beginning of the semester I sort of tried to be the whole epicenter of communication for all of the emails coming in and out, and as the semester progressed I realized I was spreading myself too thin and I needed help, so I let my teammates help me out and it worked out really well in the end.
And finally, I believe I have grown the most in professional communication because before this semester and project, I'd never really had the opportunity to email and communicate with people who had a higher position or power or influence over others. And through this, I was able to get the chance to email with founders and co-founders of companies, and it was just an incredible feeling to know that I can physically make a difference through the help of these people.
Please enjoy our creative presentation, a spoof of The Office in the Zero Waste School Supplies version.
Good morning, everybody. Hey, Pam, what's up? This is Pam, our receptionist. She is great. Do you have any messages for me? Jan mentioned to meet her in her office in an hour. Jan, yay. Pam's great. I am the boss, or as some people call me, the big B-O-S-S here at Dr. Mifflin, your zero waste school supply supplier. So, this is our sales team, Jim and Dwight. Say hi, Dwight.
Hi, I am Assistant Regional Manager.
He means assistant to the regional manager. So,
Oh, why does he keep doing it? He just promote me already. I've grown so much in creativity. I used to just not think of any of my new ideas for presenting, and I just did what Michael told me. Now, I am really creative. I have all sorts of new ideas for discussions. I make sure slides and slideshows are colorful, with a lot of pictures, and I help come up with all sorts of ideas and help solve problems that I face, especially around the farm. It's a hard year for beets. Carrots have gotten more popular recently.
No. I have this promotion in the bag. Here's why. I used to face problems, and it was really hard for me to solve them because I was not great at critical thinking. Over this past year, each challenge that I faced have got a bit easier until I got really good at it. Me and some of my co-workers organized a beach cleanup at a place called China Camp. We scheduled it until me and my critical thinking figured out that we could not do it that day, and then we had to change it, and it worked out fine. Now I can crush any challenge that comes my way.
No. I'm the one who needs this promotion. I've been a receptionist for so long. Hello, this is Dr. Mifflin, Pam speaking. Hello, this is Dr. Mifflin, Pam speaking. Hi, this is Dr. Mifflin, Pam speaking. Hello, this is Dr. Mifflin.
Yeah, practically since like the Stone Age. Forever. Revolutionary times. I'm sorry, what was the question again?
How have you grown in the office these past few months?
Oh yeah, being a receptionist for so long has really helped me grow in my communication. I have been in constant communication with fellow partners and workers. I check my email to see if the partners have contacted me. I use multiple methods of communicating with my fellow workers. I text, call, and email. I respond right away. I should get this promotion, but Jim deserves it too. Can't think that she is the best at communication. No way, I'm so much better than her. She barely talks at all, and I never stop talking. Well, I deserve the promotion because I have grown a lot in professional communication. A long time ago, I did not really communicate with people in my office and in projects, but then I practiced and now I'm really good at it. I started contacting a company called Wisdom Supply Co., and I'm now in contact with their CEOs. I also find out fun and effective ways to give presentations to others like schools that are interested in zero waste school supplies. This is why Kelly Kapoor should get this promotion.
They think that they all deserve this promotion and that they're the best. Yeah, well, they're not. I'm the best because I'm the boss. B-O-S-S. Also because I'm the best at collaboration. You know, I used to suck at it. I used to do all of my work and tasks alone, and competition in 5 minutes.
Everybody, to the conference room.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, Jen.
I'm here to present to you all about the huge promotion a lot of you guys are applying for. So first of all, what is this? What is what? These slides are so dull and they lack color and creativity. You can't watch this. Fine! You know what? I don't care what Michael says. I am creative, but there was a time where I wasn't, but I have grown since then. My presentations when I started here were very dry and wordy and lacked pictures. When I presented, my audience got bored. Then I started to realize what was happening, and I stepped up my game. I was giving presentations with some people here on our Zero Waste Schools class, and I was very creative in how the slides looked, how I presented my part, and just the presentation overall. Especially when I was introducing our partner company, Wisdom. Now I am super creative. Take that, Michael.
And the promotion goes to...
Hi. I have to go to the bathroom.
Hey! Who took my zero waste school supplies? Hey, it was you, Jim? I commit. Tell me who it was right now! Michael?
It was not me.
Who was it?
I don't know.
Who was it?
I don't know.
Who was it?
I don't know.
Welcome to our post-show tell-all. So we got several questions emailed to us throughout the show, and one of the most popular ones was, how has the cast and you guys grown over the course of the show?
Well, one of the ways that we have grown as a group is that we've learned how to adapt and change our plans with very short timing. For example, we were planning to do a beach cleanup with the Microbeats group at China Camp, and then we found out a couple days before that we weren't able to do it there because there was a marathon going on the day and time that we had planned. So we had to quickly adapt and change our plans.
Our group has also really learned how to work together because throughout this project and everything that it entails, if we're not able to work together and use like really nice teamwork, really good teamwork, then our project would just fall apart if we're not just working together to get things done and stuff like that.
Yeah, I really think we grew in like that sort of time management, like perspective. Like everybody kind of has their own thing that they know that they have to do for each thing, like each aspect of our project.
We also had to adapt to one of our group members being gone a lot of the time, which was hard, but it was for reasons that were out of her control, so we had to learn to accept it and just move on and try and think of other alternatives that we could do.
I thought that we as a group really worked on our creativity because we came up with a pretty original idea for the creative presentation, probably different than a lot of other people's.
Just gone and chilling. And the promotion goes
Permanent bag.
And we gotta get back.
10 minutes. So we'll head out in 5. So just remember to walk out.
Is that?
Presentation when I started at Dunder Muffin.
Lastly, we'd like to say a quick thank you to Christina Lundy, our contact at the MCOE, Heather Itzlet and Nicole Kozlowski, the founder and co-founders of Wisdom Supply Company, Annika Osborne, our amazing community partner, Janai Basheri, our contact at Miller Creek, Julie Harris, our contact at Sun Valley, Ashley Brody, our contact at Marin Horizon, Ray McClintock, you all know who he is, Naomi and Cyan for being our contacts at SEI, and the Whiteley family for driving us everywhere. And finally, a thank you to you guys for listening and considering our project.
Does anyone have any questions?
Are any of the other major school supply companies doing anything? Branding, any kind of like green branding or any kind of funk?
I think some, like you usually see things labeled like green, but we don't, they're usually plastic, maybe made sustainably, but I think it's usually just like plastic, made sustainably, and the issue is the plastic, so I don't think they're actually really green. The companies aren't really doing anything yet.
Do you feel like what you learned about plastic and school supplies has changed your behavior in other areas in addition to just school supplies? Is it making you look at things differently?
Well, I know that in seminar, for our final, we're doing a 21-day project, and I chose to do like a zero waste, reduced waste sort of thing to challenge me to see how much I could reduce how much plastic I throw away. So I do feel like this lead project had like really persuaded and like drifted my decision to do that for my project, which it's hard. Like it's so much of our world is like plastic now. It's hard to stay away from it, you know? So it was very surprising how like apparent it is in our world right now. So.
Kind of going off that, and then a similar question that I asked Microbeads group. When you're trying to get people to change a habit in a world that values convenience and cost effectiveness, what obstacles did you guys run into trying to change people's minds in terms of school supplies, and what tips would you give to future groups trying to change habits of people that have become, like you just said, so ingrained in our society?
Well, I definitely think that, like you said, people really do like habit and convenience. And that's one of the reasons why Wisdom is getting more popular, because it is very convenient. You just go online and you click a button. But I think people they need to see the consequences of plastic in order to really change their minds. I don't think you can just give a presentation and change it. But if you really show them what's happening to our world, and especially everything like that, I think you can, especially I know I have, but change your habits.
One of the biggest challenges that we encountered with changing people's minds is that plastic is cheap, and more green, zero waste things are more expensive, although it may not be a lot. But what people don't really see about that is that although plastic may be cheap in the short run, in the long run, zero waste lasts longer, and you can buy certain parts of binders separately, so you don't have to buy a whole new binder.
Any other questions for this group? All right.